Hi, this is Mason. It's 11 o'clock in the morning in Syracuse, and we're live in the 315. Here's Brian Higgins.
Monday! Oh, we're live, baby. Portal Watch, percolating. What's up, everybody? Devin, Tom, everyone cycling in here on this Monday. Hair metal dancers from the 80s? Yeah, why not, Dom? Get Tawny Katane in there. Mix it up. How we all doing here on this Monday? Still looking back a little bit at Syracuse's nice win Saturday at Pittsburgh. Back-to-back. Somebody on Twitter looked this up for me. Well, they didn't look it up for me. I think it actually might have been the TikTok. They didn't look it up for me. They looked it up and then told me about it. This was the first time since the Tyler Ennis season that the Orange have won back-to-back road league games by double figures. It's been a minute. So for all the complaints and whatnot that we've been tossing out there for the last week, the Orange have not had a week, regardless of opponent, as successful as that in a long time here in the regular season. So hopefully that is a good sign going forward. Yeah, Devin's Niners are on. Man, crazy weekend in the National Football League. What's going on, Nick? The Bills, wild ending of that game. Bills are still alive. My Giants still stink, but maybe they can get John Harbaugh now. Or, every good team is going to fire their coach now, so the Giants should have their pick of the litter. We'll see what the Packers do after they blew it against the Bears. My barber, who's a Bears fan, flew out to Chicago for that game on Saturday, so he got to enjoy that one. We are 67th in the net, I believe the number was, CF 1642. I had that up in a tab just seconds ago. It couldn't possibly have changed since I looked at it. 67 in the net, so up arrow on the net proceedings, still way away from where they need to be, but in a much better position than a few weeks ago. So finally here for the first time in a long time, we got some positive trends around Syracuse sports and whatnot. So a lot going on here. I'll be intrigued to see. This is not really something that we can. I mean, we can speculate it on today. Who knows what it's going to mean? But we're still looking at good signs for Syracuse basketball. But Reds' future's obviously in play. Yesterday, the news came out that Kent Syverud, who we all knew was done at the end of the year, and I thought done meant, if not retiring, stepping away from higher education leadership. Yeah, no, he's going to be the president of Michigan. Not the state, but the school system in Michigan. So how does that play into end of the season decisions where there's no new chancellor in place and all that? That's a problem for another day, but it is certainly a thing that's going to matter more than you would think when it comes to stuff like this. So lots of stuff going on. And Fran Brown, who on this day last week, and then when we had Mike McAllister on Thursday here on this program, like not much had happened when we debuted this show this day last week. Then on Thursday, a little bit had happened, and Mike McAllister said patience. He preached patience. And Fran's like, yeah, patience is good. Here's a bunch of guys, almost all. Let's get a quarterback. Let's get some D linemen. Let's get the whole thing. Impressive weekend here for Fran. I like. There are some guys that haven't played a lot, but there's also, and we'll get into that here in Portal Watch shortly. But there's a good collection of them that have actual on-field production, not just high school accolades to lean on here, which certainly on the D-line, Syracuse, in my mind, it was one of the most important things they needed to do in the portal coming in here this year. So lots going on. About 11:50-ish or so, we'll be able to get to Red Autry's weekly visit on the ACC Zoom teleconference. Last week, we got 4 whole minutes of Red. Each coach has allocated 10 minutes, but Red had there was technical issues or something on Red's end, and then once you get to the end of the time, because there's 78 coaches in the league, you gotta keep this puppy moving. If you were here literally the second the show started today, I hit some buttons wrong, and you could have just seen Pat Kelsey there talking already for Louisville. You wouldn't have heard him because I had some buttons correct. But now we're ready to go. We'll get Red up in less than an hour from now. And as always, link pinned top of the chat if you would like to join the show with a live call. So all of those options are available and ready for you. Thanks to everybody in the chat. The people with you with the green names already certainly know the deal. You are already members of the channel. I'm sure all of you have subscribed. If you haven't subscribed, that's the easiest thing to do. You just click the button. It's right there on the screen. If you'd like to become a member of the channel, it's really on the nose. There is a circle with a $sign in it next to the chat box. It's aggressively on the nose. And if you click the circle with the $sign, then you click the stuff with membership and do whatever it says to do there. You can pay some of your hard-earned Monday and then take your green and turn your name green. I said I was going to research that and see if I could turn these names orange or something. I will. I just haven't done it yet. That's maybe later today. Maybe later today we can try to suss that out. So Dylan Raiola to Oregon. That's interesting, Devin. That would make you think that their QB this year is going to go to the New York Jets if all things fall into place on that one. All right. Without further ado, let's get rocking and rolling with some Portal Watch.
Hi, it's Mason. And I'd never enter the transfer portal, but many have. And many Orange will continue to come and go. This is Portal Watch. Again, here's Brian. You
gotta love the wacky music there for Portal Watch. It's really It's really the only way to go there. It's we had different music last week, but it turned out that we had some copyright infringement, and we don't like to infringe on copyright, so we found different Portal-y music, and now we're properly jamming and copyright free for our Portal Watch segment here, which will certainly be a hallmark of this show, as we are live in the 315, 11 a.m. Mondays and Thursdays here at the moment. So when we were talking at this time a week ago, it was like, so, read any good books lately? Not much had happened. And as of updates as of this morning, and one of these things literally just happened within the last hour, I believe I saw the news, there are now 13 players committed to Fran. Today, as we look at the timetable here of the portal, today is the first day of the semester for Syracuse. Obviously, other schools differ, but today is the first day of the spring semester, feels like spring, for Syracuse. The portal closes for entry on Friday. Friday is the last day to enter the portal unless you're a playoff team or your coaches changes or one of the 8 million exceptions they have in the rule. A week from tomorrow is the last day to officially register for classes and enroll for the semester for Syracuse. So I think in many ways, a week from tomorrow is as drop dead of a day as you're going to get to be enrolled at Syracuse, certainly if you're going to participate in spring ball this year. So a couple of dates to watch out for here this week. We know the numbers outgoing in the portal right now. 27 is listed by Mike McAllister and crew on 24/7 Sports. There had been more, but Umari Hatcher, as we talked about last week, withdrew his name from the portal. And goals for Syracuse coming into the portal, in my mind, there were 3, then there were 4 goals. And with the exit of Yasin Willis, the other goal came into play. So the one that got added late in my mind was running back, and they've taken care of that with 2 running back adds. Ahmad Miller coming in from Jackson State, Juwan Johnson coming in from LSU. Backup quarterback. This got taken care of over the weekend in just a completely rando trade with Kennesaw State, where Ricky Collins, y'all remember him, has now gone from LSU to Syracuse, headed back down somewhat towards home, as he'll be in Atlanta this year for the Kennesaw State Owls. And Kennesaw State's dual threat starting quarterback of the past year, Amari Odom, who has, best I can tell, 2 years of eligibility remaining, has transferred in here to Syracuse. So that's kind of very interesting. And honestly, I think, thank you, Ole Miss, right? Because this potentially is, now who knows if it's at the talent level, right? This is potentially a Trinidad Chambliss situation with what he did in taking Ole Miss within a breath of the national championship game this past week. In that when Chambliss got to Ole Miss this year, he wasn't the season opening starter, and he kind of knew that when he transferred in. But the starting quarterback got hurt. Chambliss took the job, and he never gave it back. Well, here comes Odom. Like, everything we know and everything we've told you right now is Steve Angeli is the starting quarterback. Steve Angeli is the starting quarterback for Syracuse for next year. It's been stated very authoritatively by Fran. But as we know, Fran's plans for quarterbacks are what they are until they are something else. There's very rarely any nebulous middle ground for Fran. We also know this, that Angeli's coming back from Achilles injury. Who knows what that's going to look like by the beginning of the year in September. We also know Angeli hurt his Achilles last year and missed the rest of the season. Then the entire program imploded. So you want a backup quarterback with experience. Odom has that. Like, I get it was a lower level, but he has actually played collegiate quarterback before, and I think this is extremely significant. For if Angeli gets hurt, or if he's not quite ready to go, or if whatever, you got a guy. And on top of it, now I get Angeli has multiple years of eligibility remaining, but who knows? You can't count on these things for long-term, short-term, whatever. Now Odom's getting a taste of the big time. So either potentially, if this year goes according to plan, he backs up Angeli, then potentially could be in line to at least compete to start the year after, or he can just go right back in the transfer portal because that's what is open to everybody these days. So of the way Fran went about picking up a quarterback in the portal. I like the idea, anyway, of given what the need was, given what's on the roster, how they approached it this year. So running back, backup quarterback. Other needs in the portal: defensive line, defensive playmakers, people to get after the quarterback seemed in my mind to be a big need. Last week when we talked at this time, there had been hardly any conversation about that. You knew they were trying, but nothing had happened. By Thursday morning, things were starting to percolate a little bit, and they really took off over the weekend. The Orange now have 4, I believe, defensive linemen / pass rushers in the bucket. Jartavius Flournoy has come their way from Georgia State. He's a big guy, a defensive tackle. We knew that last week on Thursday. Dylan Fontes, another big guy, D lineman from Maryland, committed, I think it was Friday over the weekend. There's more of an edge rusher type. You could call him a DN. You could call him a pass rushing linebacker. You could just give him the damn ball because his name is Keyshawn Johnson. He's committed to Syracuse. He was one of the top edge rushers at the FCS level this past year. So where he's coming from, where was he at? UT Martin, I do believe. So there is that. And then this morning, this is the guy that I think if you're going to look at these 4 anyway, would be the one you'd put up there as, oh, okay, this is interesting. Tunmizi Adeleye. We've said his name probably somewhat correctly. Apologies to Tunmizi for how much we screwed it up. This is a former 4-star recruit coming out of Texas, where he was recruited to, connect all the crazy dots here, right? And he's from Texas, Katy, Texas. Bar the doors. He was recruited to Texas A&M by Elijah Robinson. Didn't have any production there. Transferred around. Eventually landed at UNLV. Had a very nice season at UNLV this past year for, of all people, former potential Syracuse coaching target Dan Mullen. So he goes back in the portal as a guy with, I believe, 1 year of eligibility remaining nebulous. And there was a lot of people in on him in this offseason, but Syracuse was able, just within the last hour, it became reported by Mike McAllister and others that Adeleye has committed to Syracuse. So now you've both bulked up in people that have actually sacked the quarterback before in several of these guys, and, in volume. So you've got multiple guys on the D-line where you needed just more manpower, and you have people that have had actual stats that have helped out their life and times before on the football field. So we like that. We like what we've seen from Syracuse on the D-line front so far here coming out of the portal. I think you got 4 guys. Could there be any more? I don't know. That's a lot at one position group, but we kind of like what you got there. What else has gone on in the portal? They got a couple of guys from Toledo. We knew one of them last week, and obviously there's the connection between Toledo and Syracuse defensive coordinator Vince Karras, where he just worked last year. We knew last week, last Thursday when we talked, Chris D'Apollonia, one of their star linebackers, had committed the other day over the weekend. Amari Snowden, who is a fascinating case, committed. This guy's a former 4-star recruit at a high school where initially he wanted to go to Cincinnati. What's up, Jen? Then Luke Fickell got the job at Wisconsin, so he went with Luke to Wisconsin instead. He's also apparently like a left-handed pitcher who's a decent baseball player. Since he was going to let him play baseball, he did not play baseball at Wisconsin. Then his mother passed away, so he only played a couple games at Wisconsin. He transferred now to Toledo this past year, where he basically didn't play for Toledo. They were going to let him pitch, but now he's transferred. Syracuse, as you'll know, does not have a baseball team, nor should they. It's really cold, and college baseball season in Syracuse, New York, do not intersect in a meaningful way. Just go to a Lemoyne game and freeze your butt off. So Snowden is here, a guy that has essentially not played in college, save for a few snaps, but a few years back, high-profile high school recruit. So he's kind of in the other column of that. So those are the guys that came Syracuse's way officially from Toledo. Other guys, we told you about Michael Smith, the tight end from South Carolina last week. Nazir Ward, a cornerback, committed over the weekend. He's from the same high school as many of these guys down in Miami Northwestern High School. Head coach Teddy Bridgewater, you know that name. Nazir from Western Kentucky joined the crew this season, so he's a high school teammate a couple of years ago of Calvin Russell. Calvin Russell's officially signed his letter, and now he's on the basketball team. That got announced the other day. Are we missing anybody else? Yes, wide receivers. Last week we told you about Cole Weaver of Miami of Ohio, big-bodied wideout, who had a solid season last year. He's a guy that comes in with production at the back of him. Elijah Moore, there's a lot of wideouts named Elijah Moore. He's none of the other ones. He's coming from FSU, 6'4", 206, big recruiting pedigree, small results thus far in college. And I think Portal Watch, Monday, January 12th, I think that hits them all. I think that's all 13 guys that have committed and or signed and are in Syracuse right now. The portal moves quickly. So, Snowden, we mentioned him. He's a corner technically, but he's going to play safety at Syracuse, as reported by McAllister and others. As I look at the defensive backfield, some guys have exited at DB. I'm not that worried because of you've got both starting cornerbacks coming back. You look at a guy like Ibn McDaniels, who they really liked as a freshman this past year. He left, playing time maybe not available. He went to Penn State. So that's the best landing spot in many ways of a Syracuse exiting portal guys so far. Josh Miller, backup center last year, has gone to Austin Peay. Let's go P. We told you about Ricky Collins, Kennesaw State. Jihad Lassane, who was a pass rushing type that never really got after the passer at Syracuse, has gone to Monmouth. He a Hawk. We mentioned last week Houston Willis, Kansas. And Derek McDonald landed at North Carolina the other day. And Caleb Singleton, another young cornerback who was stuck deep in the rotation, ends up at Mississippi State. So that gets you up to date on the portal. I told you there are 4 positions. A baseball team that plays in the Dome. How are you going to fit a baseball field in the Dome, Devin? That is Shortport City. Yeah, and it's lacrosse season. I'm sorry. I like baseball well enough and all. College baseball season and Syracuse, New York do not intersect in a way that makes sense really for anybody. It just, the timing of it just does not make sense, regardless of the funding and all of that. Syracuse used to have a baseball team in the way back, but has not since the, early 70s at last year. It just doesn't make sense. It is too cold. They have a softball team, and the amount of games that have to be rearranged, moved, or played in flurries or whatnot, plus they're on the road for the first 6 weeks of the season. The whole thing's wild. So, yeah, they're the only team without a baseball team in the ACC. Whoop-de-doo. Tough crap ACC. The rest of you should play lacrosse. How about that? The one thing, back to the portal here, the one position I'm still looking out for. Could you add another quarterback? That'd be useful for some depth in the room. But obviously it's tricky once you've already added a guy. Could you potentially explore another running back? Maybe, but you already got 2. There's other positions maybe you can look at. Here's the one specific position I'm hoping they're still targeting, and that is center. I mentioned Josh Miller. Austin Collins out of eligibility. Josh Miller was his backup, struggled when he was in, but he's gone. So, anybody that played center for any meaningful amount of the season last year is gone. The Orange need a center. When we talked to Mike McAllister last week, he mentioned they're exploring guys, including Cody Hornsby, who was left and potentially will come back at that spot. Syracuse, out of all the things, I get cross-training in the line and training guys up in this. I would like a guy, I'd feel much better. I think Juan Castillo is a good hire at O-line coach. I would feel much better about all of it if they can sign a center that has actually played center before. Feels like we're in basketball portal season. You go get me the William Kyle of the football field at center. It'll be a very high-jumping center. Holy William Kyle in that dunk the other way. Am I right? So there we are. Little portal watch for you. Again, link pinned top of the chat. If you'd like to join the show here on the Monday. I see somebody here that would like to join the show that most certainly would like to talk about the transfer portal right now. Let's Let's get Nick locked in here and bring him on the old show here to get things going on this Monday. Here's a guy, Nick, out in Vegas. Oh, look at you, Nick. Look at the setup here. You got the mic. You got the whole deal. What's up, my friend?
Hey, Brian. How are you, buddy?
Yep, doing well. Doing well.
Yeah, I use this for my podcasts for work for mortgages. So I'm at my office today. So
There you
just thought I would share a little bit on Adelaide because I got to watch him all season long
go. Okay.
at UNLV. So he's got a high motor and definitely a knack to getting at the ball, but he has a tendency of getting a lot of penalties. He got called for 4 offsides in one game, 2 in back-to-back plays.
That's impressive.
But their defense wasn't very disciplined. They had an interim DC last year. And so I think with proper coaching, maybe some better discipline, they can fix that. But overall, I mean, he's got a ton of potential, and he does have a knack for getting at the ball. So that might be a really good ad.
Yeah, I mean, I just are any of these guys Fadil Diggs? No, probably not. But that's not a thing that's just really realistically out there. But yeah, you just need to put some guys in the hopper, right, that have a chance of getting at the quarterback, because you didn't really have that this last year. So to have a guy that is aware of at least getting in the backfield is a good thing to have on the team.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's what Fran's whole goal is get people with proven production, even if it's at the lower levels, right? And hope that it carries over. And it seems like with the budget you have, that's kind of the best route to go, you know?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, is Syracuse going to afford a lot of guys that have proven production at a similar level? Realistically, no. So it's either are you maybe you can splurge on one or something, like in a lot of years that is quarterback. Obviously, a different situation this year. So you can either splurge on that, or you can play the volume game here with the combination of higher level guys that haven't panned out yet, or lower level guys that are looking for a step up. So I think realistically, I look at the balance, right, Nick, of how he's done that this year. There's some of each. I think it's a decent balance, right? You're not putting everything in one bucket, and you're hoping at some positions these former guys with big recruiting things pop, and at the others, you're hoping that at the upper level, their stats translate.
So one last thing I wanted to ask you your opinion on before I let you go. But so 20 out of 27 players in the portal have not committed yet.
Right.
And obviously there's 5 days left. Plus, after, I mean, you can commit after it closes, but out of that 20 that are remaining, how many do you think are actually going to land a new home? Because I think one of the fears going forward is some people's careers might be over.
Yeah, and that's especially, and I don't think people have really taken that into account with the new timetable. Like, that was always a risk with the portal, but with the timetable now, the timetable really forces you to turn it around quick if you're going to literally get into school for this spring. Like, I look at Hornsby and Ross, the two wideouts. It would surprise me if they don't have a landing spot due to their high school accolades, and they look the part as athletes. Carney's going to land somewhere, right? He has to. So I'd be intrigued to see what's happening there. Jonte Cook, Jonte Cook and Darryl Gill will land somewhere. Both very different. Like, Gill, I'm sure, is just weighing. I'm not sure, but I would presume is just weighing which NIL offer and all of that. The Cook situation, who the hell knows what's going on with that? But I'm sure he has options. But where's a guy like Jakari Williams going to go? Like, he's going to go somewhere, but realistically, it's probably going to be a lower level. He'll land at like an FCS team or something like that. So I think a lot of these guys will have landing points. But Nick, when I just look at the timetable now, like, it used to be, okay, you had a month to figure it out, and you could still have time to get to your next school by spring. Well, now, like, if you don't have it figured out by the end of the week, even though you can still technically get to another school, semesters are starting, rosters are being finalized, and if you make it to the end of the semester, for one, you may be left out in the dark without a place to literally go to school for free this semester. And then two, by the time you make it to spring, it's really easy for people to forget about you. It's not like there's another portal that kind of refreshes everybody's mind. Like, I actually don't like that they got rid of the spring portal. I think I might be in a minority on that.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, so I think it could be tough. Like if you don't find a landing spot for some of these guys, quite literally by like the middle of next week, you could be in a really tough spot going forward with both your football, your education, and everything that goes with it.
I just think, I mean, realistically, there's a lot of people in the portal, not just from Syracuse, but all out the country,
Yeah.
who are going to miss out on a semester of school.
Yeah,
They're going to miss out on a spring season, and then some of their careers are going to be over. And I think that's just the reality of what this landscape's brought. Personally,
yeah. I think what this moving of this portal day, the unrealized consequence, and again, there's been a lot of this stuff going on, right? Is that you're going to end up with some guys that like their eligibility for the next season is going to be compromised because they're going to get put in spots where you're not going to be able to acquire credits, or you're going to have to do like a semester at a junior college or something on your own dime, or who the hell knows what. Like there's going to be a lot of weird stuff simply by pushing the portal back a month and taking away the spring portal that, based on the way the NCAA operates, I'm sure that it just didn't occur to them, which if you had thought about it for like 4 seconds, should have jumped out to you pretty quickly.
I agree. Well, Brian, it was good talking to you. I just thought I'd share my opinions on Adelaide and get your opinion on the portal. But overall, I'm excited about what Syracuse has got going on, and hopefully we get some more people this week.
All right, sounds good, Nick. Always good to see you. We'll let you get back to it out in Vegas, and we like that the UNLV insight from our guy Nick out in Vegas on Syracuse's newest import this morning. If anybody else would like to join the show, as always, link pinned top of the chat. Yeah, it's I just don't think they thought the calendar through right. Like, okay, we gotta push it back because of the playoff and this and hiring season. Like, I don't think they. I think the negatives of pushing the portal back here are going to outweigh the positives, because a lot of the problems you had from the portal being then still exist. Quite frankly, like, it's still intersected. Like, look at the whole Lane Kiffin stuff. It's still intersected with coach hiring season. It's still intersected with the playoffs. It's still intersected with bowl games. It's still intersected with all that stuff, just in a slightly different way. Plus, you added new problems that haven't played themselves out all the way yet. In that, I mean, I look at all this stuff. I look at, you're going to end up with a list of guys here, and this is not just Syracuse guys. There's going to be a longer list of guys, and this is always in peril, right? If you go in the portal, you may not have a landing spot. But now, you may screw yourself out of a landing spot, not because you were not wanted, but because the timing of it all took away the time for people a little bit further down the list to land. So now, all right, say you're a freshman who transferred this year. You've done one semester in college. Now, you don't have a landing spot by whatever, a week or two from now. Okay, now maybe a school commits to bring you on, but they can't bring you on this spring because their semester has already started. So now you get to the fall, and all right, well, now you get to, maybe you don't have, and now credits transferring, you haven't taken any classes in the spring, or you had to go to a JC, or now you might not have enough credits. And yes, the school part of it is still a thing, if smaller here, and God bless academic coordinators these days. Their jobs have gotten absolutely impossible in dealing with all these transfer credits. Like, literally, I know a lot of these people with transfers now, they're on the phone all day long because they're getting calls from other schools with people in their same position, and or at the registrar's office asking, all right, this person took this class at your school. What the hell is that class? Because they're trying to figure out, okay, what class do we call it at our school? And you're making the same calls, and there's a billion transfers, and it's a headache for all involved. And not every thing will transfer, and blah, 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 blah. So you got all that going on. Like, you might get into a semester where somebody doesn't get picked up for a few weeks, has to sit out the spring academically, and then they wind up there in the fall and find out they're ineligible because they don't have enough credits. Like, it's not, that's going to happen. Will it happen to Syracuse? I don't know. But that's going to happen, or it's going to, at minimum, it's going to be a headache for people that aren't making enough money to deal with the headache. And at maximum, it's going to be, you thought you got a guy, then all of a sudden you realize that, this didn't transfer from here, and now can he take 6 classes in the next week and a half to be eligible to play the opener in a semester and a half from now? The whole thing is wacky. And I think that part of it got just created out of thin air for no reason. I also, and I get the coaches don't like all the movement and they extra. I think the portal after the spring, the second portal period, considering the importance of spring ball in football compared to off-season practices in other sports, like there's a lot more specific depth chart stuff that happens in spring ball and football that necessarily happens in the opposite semester from other sports just because the roster is so large. I liked having the option of being able to go in the portal. I mean, look at Angeli specifically. I mean, especially for quarterbacks, and we saw it play out with Angeli last year. Angeli wanted to be the quarterback at Notre Dame. Angeli competed to be the quarterback at Notre Dame. Angeli lost the job to C.J. Carr. Right choice by Notre Dame. C.J. Carr was fantastic this year. He was a highly regarded recruit, and they had a fantastic season. But it gave Steve the chance to survey the scene and transfer. Now, did it suck for Ricky Collins? Yeah, it did suck for Ricky Collins. But we also saw Ricky Collins play. It was going to suck for Ricky Collins regardless of how this past season went. So, I wish they hadn't gotten rid of that spring portal. Also, selfishly, more portal watch. The more portal watch, the better. So there is that. There is that. A little portal watch for you here on this Monday. Man, it was going molasses slow for the first week and a half when I thought it was going to be a sprint from the start. And at least from a Syracuse perspective, this has really, really picked up pace here in the last few days, including this morning with the most recent ad is the UNLV defensive end Tunmise Adeleye, who I'm maybe saying his name right. Should we look up a UNLV football? We got time to do a quick search for a UNLV football pronunciation guide from last year, right? We got time. UNLV just signed Louis Adazio as their offensive line coach. I'm assuming that would be the son of Steve. How could it be anything else than the son of Steve? Where we need to go to UNLV's schedule from last year. Stand by. We're doing a year-old research. Why? Just because we can. Because we can. Where do they? Of course, they don't have this in a place on their website that makes it. UNLV has a terrible website. That's the main thing I'm learning right now. UNLV archives, they start with 2002. This is what is going on this website. Okay, scrolling back. Now we're into the season. Here we go. Let's find a preview article. Yep, game notes. Click. Loading. Scrolling. Let's find a pronunciation guide. Let's get this guy's name. Scrolling. We're looking. We're still scrolling. We're scrolling. We're looking. Wait. Okay. Now, hey, Anthony Calandri. Remember him? Now he's at Nebraska. Okay, where are we gonna? These are offensive players. We need defense. That's a running back. Scrolling. Defensive players. All right, we're in spitting distance, perhaps. Okay, Tunmise Adeleye, according to their pronunciation guide. It is noted that a lot of people in charge of pronunciation guides aren't very good at it. But Tunmise Adeleye, according to the pronunciation guide, former four-star product that started his career recruited by Elijah Robinson to Texas A&M, found his way to UNLV, found his way to the quarterback, and now he is headed to Syracuse. All right, there we are. A portal watch here on this Monday. Sam Levitt's going to LSU. Yeah, that was kind of the assumed path after the whole thing with the Washington quarterback went down as weird as it possibly could. So there is that. Gets to hang out with Lane Kiffin. Levitt was probably regarded as the best remaining quarterback in the portal, best I could tell. The former Arizona State guy. Somebody did Dylan Raiola. He's going to Oregon. Is that a fact? Dylan Raiola is going to Oregon. I would presume I would presume that means Dante Moore is more likely than not headed to the draft if Raiola is committed to Oregon, or Raiola could do what Moore did at Oregon and sit behind him for a year as Dante Moore did when he got there behind Dylan Gabriel. And we show how that played out for him. So Oregon's not lacking in the cash for the old transfer portal quarterback situation. That shows you that's the difference of where Syracuse is at, right? Like, I think Syracuse did well to go get Amari Odom, a sitting starting quarterback at another school, to come in and be the backup quarterback. Well, Oregon, who may know but probably doesn't know for sure yet, the season just ended. Like, if their quarterback's coming back next year, just went out and picked up in the portal the former number one recruit in the country and one of the hottest quarterbacks in the portal in Raiola. So, which Dante Moore was a few years ago. He's a former number one overall recruit in the country, at least number one quarterback in the country. So, funny what happens when you're being funded quite directly by Nike. Okay, so let's put Portal Watch to bed for now, unless Fran Brown plans on getting anybody else before the show. We'll turn our attention a little bit to basketball here. At this point, we're looking at hoops. They're coming off the 11-point win on the road on Saturday at Pittsburgh. Home game coming up tomorrow night. 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock tomorrow night. Who are we blaming on this? Is this ACC Network? 9 o'clock tomorrow night for Florida State, who's on the struggle bus right now. Yeah, 9 o'clock tomorrow night on the ACC Network. What's the game at 7? Who got the good spot? Who got the good spot? Let's look it up. Come on. Show me the ACC schedule. Boston College at Clemson? Come on. They need to change these games to 6 and 8. Like, 9 o'clock on the East Coast is just, it's a Tuesday. It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. You already do it for women's basketball on Thursdays. Their doubleheader is 6 and 8. It's the same channel. Like, you've already made the decision. 8 o'clock it's Tuesday. Come on. You can get tickets as low as $3 from Vivid Seats, according to the ESPN website. Anyway, regardless, the game is starting tomorrow night, 9 o'clock. We'll have postgame for you after. We'll be going late night on a Tuesday. And in order to do that, we need to know what's going to happen in the old game.
Hi, Mason again. It's time to find out exactly what's going to happen in the next Syracuse game. This is No Wrong Answers. Here's Brian.
Thank you, Mason. Mason, hard at work now that we're adding shows to the old schedule. No Wrong Answers, Syracuse and Florida State. As the Orange continue, the more it plays out, without question, their easiest stretch of the season when you're looking at, or their easiest stretch of the ACC season anyway, if you're looking at where the schedule is at right now. The ACC has 3 teams in it that have not won a game in league yet. They are Pittsburgh, who Syracuse beat on Saturday, Florida State, who Syracuse plays on Tuesday, and Boston College, who Syracuse plays this upcoming Saturday. So 3 teams left that have not won a league game, and Syracuse is playing them in a row. And as Syracuse continues a slow but recently steady rise up the net rankings, now 67th, still needs to get way, way higher, but at least proceeding in the right direction with Donnie Freeman back. Like, these are must-win games. You cannot lose a home game against an 0-3 team in the league in Florida State, who's 7-9 overall, and you can't lose at Boston College, basically for the last decade plus in any context whatsoever. You lose at Boston College, odds are you're not having a great season. Then after those games, business starts to pick up a little bit with Virginia Tech and Miami and NC State coming up. So you got to win these next 2 games. Florida State has had a peculiar start to league play in that they're not good, but they've gone on a North Carolina run here, and it got a lot worse last game. So they were at Chapel Hill back on the 30th of December, lost to Carolina by 13. All right. Hosted Duke a few days later that Saturday, lost at home to Duke just by 4. Okay. And then in the game that was on TV right before Syracuse's on Saturday, final score from Tallahassee, NC State 113, Florida State 69. 113 69. They lost by 44 at home in a league game to NC State. That's nuts. They lost by 44 at home. So that's what Florida State's coming off, and now they got to fly north, and now they got to deal with a Syracuse team that I think in many ways is playing their best ball of the year tomorrow night, late night, 9 o'clock. So we look back at what Syracuse has been doing well. What have they been doing well here? Donnie Freeman. They've been doing Donnie Freeman well. Everything has changed with Donnie back in the lineup. He is, without question, their best player. Everybody on the team knows it. The ball's going to Donnie when it needs to go to Donnie close and late, and Donnie's making plays. He hit those 2 huge shots, long 2, and a 3 right on top of a pit 3 to stave off their comeback on Saturday. Freeman has been fantastic recently. Good to see J.J. Starling back on the scene after he had 2 really quiet games to start league play. He was very good on Saturday in the win. William Kyle, he set the internet on fire with that dunk. Our guy Terrence Oglesby still can't believe that happened. Just a ridiculous putback dunk that he had at Pittsburgh. And it's at least starting to slot in a little bit now that you have your lead cat back. So let's get into it. No wrong answers. Syracuse, Florida State, Tuesday night in the Dome. We'll start with Donnie. We kind of have to start with Donnie. He's averaging well north of 20 since his return. I see no reason that changes, especially against a defense-optional Florida State team. Remember, this is their first year after Leonard Hamilton's retirement. Their new head coach is Luke Laux. Donnie Freeman, he's just going to keep doing it. How about 25 for Donnie in the game? We'll give him 8 boards. He'll hit a couple of threes. He'll have a dunk at some point. He'll hit some free throws. He will be a 3-level scorer and once again be the best player on the court in the Dome. J.J. Starling's resurgence, I think it continues. He got back on track last game and really played a complete game, offense, defense, special teams. He kind of did it all. JJ, no wrong answers, 15 points. We'll get Starling 5 rebounds, and I think we saw it. He set the tempo, right? They were out there in your grill, going coast to coast early in the game. Look for JJ accelerator down from the start on Tuesday night. His counterpart at shooting guard, Kiyan Anthony. It's been very quiet for Kiyan of late. I don't think that changes here in the Dome on Tuesday. Just 7 points for Anthony as he's a little lost at sea here at this moment. Remember, a freshman. We'll see if he can get it going again as the year goes along. The Nates. Let's see. Which Nate should we start with? We'll go with the point guard, George. My main concern right now with Nate George is the turnovers. He had another, 6 in the game against Pittsburgh. No wrong answers. I'm worried that is going to be an issue that derails Syracuse at points this season. 5 turnovers in this game against Florida State for Nate George, but I think the rest of the game will be solid. We'll give him 7 assists and 12 points in the ball game on Tuesday night. Nate Kings, I think, finds his shooting form a little bit. We'll give Kings 12 in this ball game. Will Tyler Betsy be on? Will Tyler Betsy be off? I don't know. He had 3 threes last game that basically didn't play the rest of the way. We'll give Betsy a couple threes, and he'll score in another way against Florida State. 8 points for Tyler Betsy in this game. I think we get a little Sadiq White in this game as well. Sadiq White, I think he's playing okay. He's just not scoring right now. We'll get him 8 points and 7 rebounds in the game. I think Sadiq White's going to do some stuff. No wrong answers. Sadiq White does stuff against Florida State. No wrong answers, William Kyle coming off a 0 block game, but 4 steals. Flippity flop in this game. 4 blocks for Kyle as he gets back to doing what he does best. 2 more thunderous dunks because that's just what William Kyle does in basketball games. No wrong answers. Let's toss the whole thing in the blender and see how it comes out. This is a must-win game for Syracuse based on opponent, based on location. I think Syracuse gets it done again. Florida State's defense is really struggling. They just gave up 113, 91 the game before that. No wrong answers. Syracuse 85, Florida State 71. The Orange get a 3rd consecutive double-digit win as they continue to ramp it up here in conference play. Remember, after the game, you're in the right spot already for the post-game show. Syracuse, Florida State. You just got to maybe a little brew the coffee now. We'll be on about 11-ish tomorrow night. We'll have Reds Presser live. We'll have your calls live, and we will mix it up in the chat. Little no wrong answers getting you ready for Syracuse and Florida State. We are just a few minutes out here, I think, from being able to bring you a little Red Autry Zoomity Zoom situation is Monday weekly ACC Zoom, which just wonderfully timed out to be at 11:50 on a weekly basis. So we'll get you read here in a moment for that. We'll keep our eyes on the old Zoom, but he should be on there shortly, so we can get that to wrap up the show here in a little bit. Yeah, your Sabres. Are you Sabres guys, CJC? The Sabres are killing it. I can't say I'm really paying attention to regular season hockey, but the Sabres, they keep winning games. I know that. Yeah, I almost hit it. No wrong answers the other day, Kev. I almost hit it. We've been in the ballparks recently. We're feeling good. We're feeling good about our no wrong answers capabilities recently. Yes, Super Cat, you're late. It's ridiculous is what it is. Ridiculous. Yeah, Jared, there'll be a replay of Miami and Notre Dame on before. Nick, yes. Look, Nick is now a 315 loyalist. Thank you, Nick. What Nick has done, as we wait for Red, is he clickety-clicked that $sign circle next to the chat box and became a member of the channel. We like anybody to do anything with the channel. If you subscribe, it's great. We're working our way toward 1,000 subscribers where we can monetize some stuff. Because we passed 500 a few weeks ago, we can now offer things like this, and Nick has become a 315 loyalist. You can, at the moment, become a friend of the 315 or a 315 loyalist. Ooh, I see Red's face on the screen from the ACC Zoom. So I think it is coming sooner than not that I see Mike Waters as well, prepared to ask some questions. So we might get actually 10 full minutes of Red Autry today instead of just the scant 4 that we got last week. Though Andy, the moderator, has vanished. This is a very long Zoom because there's 18 coaches, 10 minutes each. Yeah, this is a 3-hour. Like, it just keeps going and going and going. It's a marathon every Monday for this thing because the league is so freaking big. But we'll get Red here shortly. Oh, I see Red. There's Red. Here's Red. Red Autry, everybody. Whoop.
You.
There's
Good morning.
Red.
Good morning.
If you have a question for Coach Autry, please use the raise hand tool. If you need access to record, please let me know that as well, and happy to provide that for you.
Who would like to talk to Red?
And then your first question will come from Aiden Stepanski. Go ahead, Aiden.
Hey, Coach. When it comes to your defense, the guards have really played a big role this year. Just how have you seen them kind of buy in defensively this year? And on top of that, when you were teaching defense this offseason, was it more of a attitude and mentality thing or more of improving technique? Just what did you see from that?
I thought the guys all came in this summer, and we I think to answer your question is both, attitude, and what we wanted to build on, right? It was a lot of importance. We did a ton of defense, and we broke it down with technique, and kind of giving them a big picture of what we're trying to accomplish. Gave them a lot of visuals, a lot of statistics, things like that to get them to buy into it. For us to get to where we want to get to, that was going to be the building block, and that was what we was going to hang our hat on. So I think, a lot of teaching, a lot of work, a lot of breakdown, and I think they've all improved, and still with more room for improvement now, but it was really just a mindset and the work that we put into it.
AKA, JJ's actually playing defense this year. Thank goodness.
Adrian, used the zone a lot on Saturday against Pittsburgh, especially in the second half. And I was wondering what went into the decision to use it, and how long ago did you have that installed, and what made you bring it out on Saturday?
Well, we wanted to give them a different look. Cummings has had it going, so we wanted to try to disrupt their rhythm a little bit, and obviously we had a lead. So now you're trying to get the game, play the game, and make them work a little bit more. I thought they had a good rhythm, so that's why we went to it.
A 2-3 zone. A level 5 defense.
Had a first-round pick, and Donnie's been playing some pretty good basketball. What would your pitch kind of be to NBA teams about why they should maybe consider him?
Well, I mean, obviously a guy his size, 6'10", guy that can stretch the floor, putting it on the floor, can attack closeouts, and then improving on the defensive end. He's improved his body. I think he's still in that phase of developing. He's still developing, and I think from last year to this year, I think the teams that have watched us, or the writers that have followed us, especially our local reporters, you guys have seen the growth and the change in his body and in his game.
And just kind of building off that, how tough has it been? He's been out, really a lot the last 2 years. How tough has that been for you kind of dealing with that? And how have you seen him kind of bounce back with all the adversity?
Obviously Donnie, Donnie is an impactful player, and not having him, we can't dwell on. We gotta, that's part of it, as sports, is that, injuries happen and you gotta, move on and try to, make do. And I thought, we've done the best job that we could, but now seeing him back and seeing him healthy, I think people start to understand how, what type of player he is and how important he is for our program. A big piece of what we do. I think he did a good job, and our coaching staff did a good job of keeping him involved by watching film and keeping him involved in practice. So I think that really helped his mental development as well.
And using the juicing station.
I'll go back to Aiden.
Yeah, Coach, just building off my earlier question on building this defense in the offseason. Obviously, Nate Kings, in the last few years was a prolific three-point shooter as well, but just how much did his defense and what he showed on that end in his past time in college kind of play into why you guys wanted to bring him in so bad?
It was huge. I mean, I think the one thing, we wanted to prioritize is, really trying to bring, a lot of guys in, two-way guys, like guys that, play on both sides of the ball. Obviously he's a, I think he's a really good shooter, and I think he can score it as well. But the intrigue really came on the other end of the court, on the other side of the court, where he's a guy that he defends, and he's very competitive on that side of the basketball as well.
Nate's been their best guard defender this year.
Just looking ahead to tomorrow, what have you seen from FSU? Just watching film so far.
But you talk about pace, you talk about a disruptive defense. They cause a lot of turnovers, and offensively, three-point shooting, the three-point shot attempts really stick out, and their offensive rebounding to get those three-point attempts. So, but their pace of play, their aggression, is really what sticks out a lot. They're aggressive on both sides of the ball, whether it's getting a turnover and turning them into points, or even when you score, those guys getting the ball out and getting it up the court, and spacing you out with the three-point shooting that they have.
I think the tempo could be FSU's downfall tomorrow night.
We'll go back to Aiden.
Yeah, Coach, obviously, like we've mentioned throughout this whole season, defense is really a big part of the identity that you want this team to be. You mentioned about some of the specific things. I guess could you kind of delve into that a little bit? Maybe some things you tried to show the guys in the off season, or tried to base this defense around when really trying to build it?
Yeah, taking examples, NBA film of different concepts and themes of what we're trying to do in different scenarios is the biggest tool that we use. And we mix it up, between NBA teams and some of the better defensive teams in college, really trying to get these guys to, be able to see it visually as opposed to just doing it every day. So it was just a combination of teaching on the court and visually giving them the concept of what we're trying to accomplish, I think really helped them.
There's going to be an article on Syracuse's defense coming in the Daily Orange this week. I sense it.
Yeah, obviously, big news with Calvin Russell officially, joining the team. What were your conversations kind of like with him and, Frayne Brown just throughout this whole process, trying to put a plan together for him to balance, both sports?
Calvin was the guy that we had identified early before he, really excelled in the football. I know he played basketball, and he's been playing basketball as a 9th and 10th grader. So we were familiar with the name. Obviously, football is first. But him coming over and joining us basketball-wise, was a plus for us. A guy that can play, that has some, that could have played at Division I. Having that at practice and being able to help develop and see where he goes. Again, we've had guys in the past that play two sports, so it's always exciting to have those guys. They bring a type of toughness. Him playing football, I really love that mentality, that toughness mentality. And that's what we try to preach over here as well, is hang our hat on toughness in the defensive side of the basketball. So I thought it was a really good fit and match. And obviously, we're one. I want to be able to help the football team as well, and I think he can help us as well. So you got a guy that can be impactful in two programs. That's pretty important.
Can you bring a level 5 dart mentality? Can that combine?
Can I ask a question, please, Andy? I didn't have my hand raised. Brad.
Yeah, go ahead, Brad.
Coach Red, talk about the team at this point in the ACC games. You've done what you had to do to win these games on the road. We saw in the Pittsburgh game, great shooting really makes a difference to this team. Could you talk about the development of this team 3 games into conference play?
It's been some good things. Offensively, I think, having Donnie back allowed us to, open up the floor and get a couple of more 3-point shot attempts. We were struggling with that. We've improved on our free throw shooting. So those have all been pluses for us offensively. Defensively, we've played good in spurts. We've had some big dips and, things that we want to continue to address. But I think the biggest thing is that our offense is, really, we've been able to score the ball a little bit more offensively at the beginning of ACC play.
All right, that's all the time that we have. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. There it goes. Adrian Red Autry disappearing up from the screen. Oh my goodness, wrong button. Oh, I blame Red. Fire Red. Fire Red. We can't hit the right button. Fire Red. It's the only option. Okay, hey, Mark Madsen from Cal is on my screen now. Now I gotta hit some buttons and get off my screen, Mad Dog. Where's the right button? Yeah, get off my screen. Stop talking. This is only bothering you guys, not me, but
Sorry about that. Mark, obviously.
There, okay. Now it's stopping talking in my ear. Okay, so hey, Pat's in the chat. What's up, Pat? So there we are, a little Red there. It's amazing that you win a couple of games, these things go a lot calmer. The questions are about like actual articles. People are like, for people wondering what's the point of these things and why are the DO kids asking like those line of questions and whatnot. That's the opportunity to ask questions like that. Like post game is very focused on the game and stuff like that. You get these on Monday. It's like, are you working on a story? Are you like that? That's what stuff is like that. Obviously, Mike Waters was asking about the zone. I'm sure he's going to be. He wrote about the zone this morning, I think. So maybe he'll write a little bit more about the zone going forward. 2 + 3 = 5. Level 5. Level 5. How about that? So there we go from that. And just the timing has worked out beautifully that Red is scheduled for 11:50 because I'm going to say I did this on purpose, except that we had scheduled these shows for 11 on Monday and Thursday before they announced the times of the press conference, and it has just landed beautifully. All right, unless anybody else has anything, that's going to wrap things up for the day. Schedule for the week. Our next live in the 315 will be Thursday at 11. Maybe we'll rustle up a guest for that. Jordan and I have a little TPS report on Wednesday night. That's 8 o'clock. And tomorrow night, I'm tired already. Tomorrow night, we go late night. 9 o'clock tip, because that makes sense. 9 o'clock tip for Syracuse and Florida State. We'll see if the Orange can get their third straight ACC win. They sure as heck better, because you can't be losing to a 7-9 Florida State team at home, but that's a 9 o'clock tip. We'll be with you post-game after, around about 11. We'll get Red's post-game press conference. We'll get your calls. We'll get all of the wonderful things that we need tomorrow night, round about 11. All right, everybody, thanks for stopping by. Week 2 live in the 315 here on a Monday. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll catch you tomorrow night.
Thanks for watching the 315 with Brian Higgins. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn your notifications on. We'll see you next time.